Imagine an immense void and endless darkness. In the midst of this vast expanse of absolute silence, something begins to move. This is the scenario presented in the book of Genesis. In the beginning, only nothing existed. But like a spark in the middle of the night, the voice of God appears, powerful and clear. In a command, this voice announces, "Let there be light." And so, for the first time, light cuts through the darkness. This is not just the beginning of a story. It's the first moment where existence, time and space take shape. The earth is empty, disordered, but over the 6 days of creation, we see this landscape take on colors, shapes and life. From the separation of the waters to the emergence of dry land, plants and animals, the sun to rule the day and the moon to rule the night and the stars, everything is meticulously ordered. It is a spectacle of pure creation, where every detail seems to be planned with a precision that enchants and intrigues. After creating the world, God decides to form human beings. And he does so in a unique way, sculpting him with his own hands from the dust of the earth and breathing into him the breath of life. And so Adam, the first man, was born. It's as if the stage was set, but someone special was missing to contemplate and interact with it. The narrative becomes more intense when God creates the Garden of Eden, a place of unimaginable beauty where Adam is placed. In Eden, trees of all kinds sprout, and in the center are two trees in particular, the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. God gives Adam the freedom to enjoy everything there, but with one restriction. He must not eat from the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. It's a choice and therefore a responsibility. But the story doesn't stop there. God realizes that Adam is alone and so creates Eve, the woman, made up of a part of Adam, so that together they share the journey. They are more than just partners. They are complements, reflections of a divine purpose. It is the union of two beings destined to live in harmony. Now, here begins one of the most dramatic moments in the entire biblical narrative. Imagine the garden on a perfect day. Adam and Eve are together, free to explore and care for all that God has created. But, silent and cunning, the serpent approaches. He is described as the most cunning of animals, and with a simple question, he plants the seed of doubt in Eve. Is that really what God said? The serpent questions the prohibition, insinuating that God is hiding something from them. And so Eve, driven by curiosity and the attraction of the fruit, makes a decision that will forever change the fate of humanity. She eats the fruit and shares it with Adam. This act, although simple, carries immense weight. It represents the choice to know what lies beyond, to experience something that was out of reach. It is a moment of discovery but also of rupture. With the first taste of the fruit, something changes inside them. For the first time, Adam and Eve realize they are naked and feel ashamed. They try to cover themselves, and upon hearing God's presence in the garden, they hide. What was once a relationship of complete transparency and trust is now tainted by fear and guilt. God, like a father who already knows what has happened, asks, "Where are you?" This question echoes not only in the garden but also within them. Where are they, in fact, now that they have chosen the path of knowledge and experience? By confronting them, God questions them about their actions. And this is where we see the beginning of the transfer of blame. Adam blames Eve, and Eve blames the serpent. Each tries to justify their mistake, but the consequences are inevitable. They are expelled from Eden, leaving behind a paradise where everything was pure and perfect. The Garden of Eden and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil are not just symbols of an ancient religious narrative, but represent human dilemmas that still resonate today. Choices and their consequences, the desire to know and explore the unknown, and the eternal search for understanding and meaning. As a reflective closing, if we were in Adam and Eve's shoes, would we have done the same? How many times have we sought something forbidden only to discover that freedom also brings responsibility? Imagine a land that is still young, where people still experience creation in a very close and direct way. Cain and Abel are the children of Adam and Eve, the firstborn outside of Eden, carrying the weight and consequences of their parents' choices. Despite this, they have the freedom to make their own choices, and with that comes responsibility. Abel and Cain represent different paths. Abel is a shepherd and dedicates himself to looking after the sheep, while Cain works the land as a farmer. Both decide to offer sacrifices to God, and it is here that the contrast between the two becomes most evident. The two brothers bring their offerings. Cain offers the fruits of the earth, while Abel brings the best of his flock. Surprisingly, God accepts Abel's offering but not Cain's. This awakens a silent fury in Cain, a wound to his pride and heart. This awakens in Cain a silent fury, a wound in his pride and in his heart. At this point, the narrative raises an implicit question about the sincerity of offerings. God sees not only what is given but the heart of the giver. Cain's gesture is marked by resentment, while Abel's is marked by humility and faith. In a moment of compassion and warning, God addresses Cain, "Why are you angry? If you do good, you will be accepted. But if not, sin lurks at your door." God knows how Cain feels but still gives him a chance to choose. Despite the divine warning, jealousy consumes Cain. He calls Abel to the field, and there, driven by anger, he commits the first murder in history. Abel's blood stains the ground, and for the first time, we see the impact of jealousy and violence on creation. God confronts Cain by asking, "Where is Abel your brother?" As a reflection of the story of Adam and Eve, Cain tries to wriggle out of it, replying, "Am I my brother's keeper?" But God knows what has happened and declares that Abel's blood cries out from the ground for justice. So Cain is cursed, condemned to wander as a wanderer, separated from the land he once cultivated. He bears not only a visible mark, but also the weight of guilt and separation from his family. The tragedy of Cain and Abel is not only a story of fratricide, but also the beginning of a moral divide between peoples. The story of Cain and Abel reflects a moral choice, to follow God's path or to lose oneself in one's own emotions and impulses. From this point on, Genesis recounts the growth of Adam's generations, a humanity that spreads across the earth, but which bears the marks of original sin and the first crime. Cain's lineage turns away from God, while others seek to maintain a relationship with him, shaping a divided humanity. The story ends with a reflection on the power of choices and how every action, no matter how small, can have eternal consequences. The relationship between God and humanity becomes closer and more complex, where he watches and guides, but also allows each person to choose their own path. Did you like this video? Share it, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. See you next time.